this second time's a charm.
It'll be shorter and sweeter, I think.
Dr. Borland interview take. Dr. Borland interview take 2. So who are you and what do you do?
I'm Dr. Kimani Borland and I'm a naturopathic physician.
And where do you practice at?
I'm currently practicing at a primary care clinic in Medford, Oregon. I do all aspects of primary care, but my special interests include women's health, cardiovascular care, and digestive wellness.
So tell me a little bit about your childhood, who were you raised with, your upbringing, things like that.
Okay. So I was raised by both my mom and dad, so I'm very blessed to say that both my parents were very involved. I'm also one of 5 siblings, so we're a big, loving, happy family. We were raised in the hills of Kingston, and so my childhood was mainly like running around barefoot outside, picking fruits, and it was a very simple, chilled, relaxed, loving kind of a vibe growing up.
In Jamaica, were you exposed to a lot of Black-owned businesses or Black service providers? And if so, were you influenced by that to take your own path? Or
So as you might guess, Jamaica is a predominantly Black country. And so seeing Black people be successful and own businesses and be in high positions of professional power was not unusual. That was just a norm. And so I imagine that subconsciously that was always a part of my sense of what I could also accomplish. Jamaica is largely divided by class. Sometimes the class and racial lines intersect because that's a outcome of our history, right? Our colonial past. And so many people that are in the higher classes are going to be of lighter skin color or white. But we are more divided by class and I would say race. And so it's not uncommon to see people of power who are Black.
So you mentioned earlier that you lived in Tanzania. What brought you there? What was that like?
So my mom works at the UN, so she works at UNICEF. And when I was 17, she literally told the family after our whole lives living on the same hill in Jamaica that we were going to move to Africa. And we were like, what the hell? And so she got a job offer there. And so she started to do different international posts. So when I left Tanzania, she actually went on to live in Ethiopia and then she moved to New York. So she's done quite a bit of international travel herself. So that's what brought us there.
So what were some of the differences from being a Black Jamaican in Jamaica as opposed to being a Black Jamaican in Africa?
This is a very good question. So in Jamaica, I was regarded as brown. Okay, so they would say browning, or basically they would call you browning, right? If your skin is lighter color, but you're still Black, but you're brown. You're kind of in its own category of being brown. It wasn't until I came to the US that I had to develop a really strong identity of being Black based on my experience being here and learning from people in America. And then in Africa, interestingly, because I was an outsider and because my skin color is lighter, I was actually considered white. So you can imagine how trippy it is identity-wise to be brown in Jamaica, Black in America, and white in Africa, right? And so it makes you realize how much the race thing is nothing, but also everything, right? So it's like it's all in our minds. But because it's all in our minds and our environment is a reflection of what's in our minds, and it becomes very real, and it affects us in a really big way. But I also think it's powerful to be able to really appreciate how much of it does live in our mind, right? Yeah.
Now let's talk about you coming over to the U.S. Let's dive a little bit more into you being a Black woman in America, a Black woman in California, going to school. Tell me some things, some experiences that you had.
Yeah, so I left Jamaica, went to Tanzania, applied to college from Tanzania, and then got accepted to Stanford University in California. And I actually spent my freshman year in a dorm called Ujamaa, which is a black themed dorm. And so that was my like awakening to Black American culture. I learned a lot there. That was where I built an even stronger identity of being Black versus just being Caribbean or just being Jamaican. And it was a big learning experience. So I learned that the Black American struggle is a particularly unique struggle. Black people in Tanzania and Black people in Jamaica don't carry the same burden. They have different kinds of burdens, but it has a different feel and a different weight in America because it's so, the racial lines are so clear in this country. And so I really had to humble myself and learn what the experience of a Black American is and where I fall into it, even though I wasn't born in this country, knowing how I'm perceived and knowing the way that who and how I am in this world in America is going to be impactful to people either seeing me or the things that I say. And so it was an important learning process for me to know how to be Black in this country.
So every race, creed, nationality, religious type, every combination of all of them have their own sets of struggles based off of what you identify with. You being, a Black woman in America, going to college, becoming highly educated, opening this practice, did you have any struggles with those based off of you being seen as a Black woman here?
That's a good question. Sometimes I wonder if I'm blind to the struggles because I've been so like laser focused on what I've wanted to accomplish, and because how I was raised, the push was always to be your absolute best despite, regardless. And so that ability to kind of keep that laser focus and not pay attention to the challenges, I think is part of my success story. I've definitely had experiences, when I was at training at my clinic, for example, I had different patients that preferred to see a white provider. Okay, so that was a real thing. Countless experiences. I'm sure you guys watching this know the microaggressions and the things that are not even said but felt. So I've felt them, but I feel I've had the ability for them to kind of just roll off the shoulder instead of internalizing it because of how I was raised.
Who were some of your role models, people you looked up to growing up?
I would say my main role model was my mom because she went to Harvard. So she brought her education all the way to Harvard and has her PhD in early childhood education. And she was totally present as a mom. 5 kids, did her PhD, like while breastfeeding. Like I straight up took my, drive from her, my passion from her, my dedication, commitment, not giving upness, all of that. My mom is like hands down my biggest role model.
Some people would say, you're blessed to have such a strong role model directly in your life. And as you may know, not everybody is blessed to have such a strong role model directly in their life. Do you have any advice or any words for those who don't have that direct role model present in their everyday life?
To not have a mom or dad present is a real wound. It's a very, very real wound, and we can't pretend that that's not the case, right? It's a hole, it's a gap, and those kind of emotional wounds carry through in ways that we could never, ever imagine, right? So the first thing I think is just acknowledging that while it's unfortunate, sad, unexplainable, we don't know why, we don't understand why, it's real, and we have to accept that. Now, once you get to that place of acceptance, knowing that for whatever reason that was your path, you just know that you have more to overcome. Like you have a greater challenge to overcome, and you just can. Not without support though. And so recognizing that even though your support may not have been mom, dad, your support can still be aunt, uncle, mentor, teacher, friend. And so it's being open to that level of mentorship and support, seeking it out very actively because it's not just there and given to you. And then when you find it, like you find that connection with someone that is inspiring and feels supportive and loving to you, really hold on to it and nurture that relationship and friendship.
So what brought you up to Medford, Oregon?
So after I graduated from undergrad and I moved back home, I then moved to Washington State to do my postgraduate degree. So that's where I got my degree in naturopathic medicine. And I wanted to practice in Washington, but had some immigration funniness that happened and I had to move back home. I had to go back home to Jamaica. I felt like I felt like I got kicked off on a boat and had to go back home, okay? Then an interesting series of events happened. So when COVID hit, we decided to, like, it was very random and very anxiety producing, but we decided to leave Jamaica and stay with some family members in California for a while, just to hunker down with them. And my husband had a work meeting in Oregon, and so we went on a family road trip, and we met up with my old-time friends who own this clinic here that I'm currently practicing at. And he was 3 years ahead of me at school, and both of our families, me and his wife, him and my husband, all the kids became really good friends year after year after year. And so when we came up here and we met him, he offered me a job. And this was in the middle of a crisis on multiple levels. And it was very, very hard for me to conceive of this being possible. But my husband encouraged me to just say yes, because we had nothing to lose at that point. And then one thing led to the next, and everything just kind of flowed in the most easy, fast way. After like 2-3 years of really struggling to find a root and a ground in my career in the US, it really was a struggle. And so that's what brought me here, and I just started to work at this clinic.
What are some things that kept you going through all that? That's very difficult to keep focused, especially during the pandemic. What are some things that kept you going?
That's a good question. I have had a very, very, very clear vision of what I wanted to do. And it wasn't clear forever. I had to nurture that vision and that dream, and it's kind of changed shape and form over the years. It's still changing, but I knew where I ultimately wanted to end up, and I just never let go of that. I just refused to let go of that possibility. And that just kept me going each day, each month, each year of challenge, of something not working out, of unexpected turns. I just knew where I wanted to end up, and I didn't imagine it would be like this, but looking around me, I mean, it has so many of the elements of what my dream contained.
What is in the future for Dr. Kimani Borland?
I don't know. I'm at an interesting place where I felt like I fought so hard for a dream to manifest, and it has, and I'm just kind of like enjoying, right? I'm trying to live it, because sometimes when we look for goal to goal to goal, it's like we miss the achievements that we make along the way, right? So as I'm getting a little bit older, I'm really trying to allow myself to enjoy where I have arrived too, right? Because it's a really big deal. I am also a yoga teacher. I also have my own business, Wellness with Dr. K, where I do, workshops, and I teach and lead yoga retreats and detox programs. And so all of that is always happening. And I imagine that in my future, that will continue to grow and expand. And I want to travel more, and I want to write a book. And so lots of, very diverse, different ways that I can really expand what it is I want to say. I have a lot to say, what I want to share, how I want to impact people's lives, right? So this feels like a beautiful, beautiful step in the journey of whatever is to come, and it feels wide open for me right now.
I'm not saying that, that we made it, because that would insinuate that we hit our peak. And
Never.
That's impossible to do. But we just arrived.
Yeah, and it's allowing yourself to sit in that arrival and knowing that you worked hard for it. Nothing was handed. We worked hard. You earn it, and then you sit it and be in it. Be all that you imagined it to be. Be it, right? And then you'll know when the time has come for you to dream again. You'll know when you start kind of peeking out. You'll know when you want more, right? And you just have to trust that will happen, because that's what brought you here.
So you mentioned earlier that you have kids. What are some hopes and dreams that you have for them?
Yeah, I have a 13-year-old boy and a 6-year-old boy. My main hope, so they were born in the US, and my oldest especially has kind of seen the struggle, my youngest not so much. And so the challenge is always, how do we create a better life for our kids, right? But still have them learn the important lessons that we learn along the way, because you can only learn, or you learn the best from experience, right? So my hope is that they realize how blessed they are, right? But that they also have diverse life experiences that expose them to what people around the world are experiencing, right? So that they keep a really wide lens of what it means to be human, and they learn to be grateful for what it is that they have, and that they learn the importance of supporting others to get to where they have been, right? So seeing a diverse range of human experiences, recognizing what human experience may need a little bit of support, and where it is that your blessings can help to lend a better life for those people. That's ultimately what I want. And I want them to be happy, of course. So I want them to learn about others.
Do you have some advice or some words that maybe you could share with our youth that could help maybe set them up for success in the future?
I think the biggest thing is to know that is to pay attention to what you love. Pay attention to what you're good at. It may not be that you love tennis. It may not be that you can make a tennis career, but it's possible, and you must always hold on to that possibility of using what you love and what your gift is as your career. But knowing that we live in a very unpredictable society, maybe more than ever before, and so finding creative ways of translating what you love into a workable career. So maybe the dream is to be a tennis star, but on the way there, or within that dream, you are coaching tennis to actually, make a living, right? So finding that balance between holding on to a dream and learning about what the hell that dream even is by paying attention to what you love and what you're good at, but also being really smart and paying attention to how the world is working and knowing how you can fit in to still make a living. Because at the end of the day, we got to make the bread. We have to, right? And so ideally we're doing it with our passion, and many times that ideal is not able to be manifested, but you can still find a way to find joy in how it is that you make money.
Talk to me about Siskiyou Vital Medicine and some things y'all offer here.
So Siskiyou Vital Medicine is a direct primary care practice, which basically means we run the clinic on a membership model. So you pay a membership fee and then you get unlimited access to your provider, right? So you can come and see me every day if you needed to, right? Or you can, see me every week if you wanted more accountability with your health goals. Whatever it is. So it's a really nice way of doing primary care because there's no barriers to care. You see me when you need to see me, and you have, unlimited access to what it is that you need in terms of your care. So we do all aspects of primary care, all your primary care needs, all your health concerns. We're able to prescribe medications when needed. We can do your PAPs, we can do all your annuals, run your labs. But we also, because we're a naturopathic medical clinic, we also use herbal medicine and nutraceuticals and lifestyle medicine and energetic medicine and the whole realm of what it means to be healthy and to provide healing. And so it's a very, very diverse way to practice. It's a very holistic, inclusive way of practicing. It's integrative. It includes the tools of conventional medicine and tools of traditional natural medicine. And we have multiple providers here. I'm one of those providers. And yeah, it's a beautiful way to practice primary care. And I think that naturopathic medicine does a really, really good job at attending to what it means to be the first line of care for any health concern that you have.
So what kind of patients do y'all have here?
Well, we see a very, very diverse range of ages. So we have a provider here that specializes in naturopathic pediatrics. So we see pregnant mamas, babies, all the way up to old age. And that's what primary care is. Seeing you from your baby to you're an elder, right? Imagine being able to see the same doctor for your whole life. That's really a beautiful thing to be able to develop that relationship. So we see all kinds of people, men, women, all different types of ages. Because of the Medford area, obviously our racial demographic is predominantly white. We see some Hispanic people, but definitely wanting to encourage my people to come see me if you want a provider that you can relate to and that you feel most comfortable with, and but all and everyone.
Can you share with me the importance or maybe some benefits of a Black mom to be coming to see another Black provider, some issues that Black women are facing in the healthcare system when it comes to having kids, or any issues at all?
Yeah, there's an interesting silent culture where the concerns of Black people tend not to be taken as seriously. And in my mind, I can play out, historically why that is. But there is a assumption that either what we are feeling is either not valid, or is just not taken as seriously, or is just kind of brushed off, like you'll be okay. And of course that leads to really big lapses in care, and it's very, very dangerous. And we see that in the maternal mortality rates. We see it in even cardiovascular disease in our community, obesity, diabetes, all the things, right? And so seeing a provider that at least has the awareness of that problem, right, is very important. And if your provider is Black, they live that. So they're going to have that awareness. You can find providers that are not Black that have that awareness, but seeing a provider that looks like you, that has had at least some similar experiences, it helps to make sure that unconscious assumption is not a part of the clinical encounter. So we break that away and we just get straight to what is needed, and complaints are taken seriously. And so that's maximally important in a clinical encounter, whether it's in a primary care clinic, whether it's, at the hospital. It's essential. Hi everyone, I am Dr. Kimani Borland. I'm a naturopathic physician as well as a yoga instructor. If you want more information about how you can work with me in various different forms, you can visit my website at wellnesswithdrk.com.